All right, so here's another example of completing the square. I wanted to make sure that I showed you an example where the b value is negative. So remember, I refer to it as b because we have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So that value in front of just the letter x, that minus 12, is what I refer to as b. So let's follow our steps. Remember, the first step is to make sure that we remove this c value. So we move it to the right side of the equation. So I would need to take away 35 from both sides of the equation, and that will leave us looking like this. X squared minus 12x. I typically leave a little space right here because you know what's going to come next, and that's equal to minus 35. Sometimes I'll even put a blank on the right side because I know that I'm going to be finding some value to add to both sides of this equation. So to find out what that value is, remember step number 1 is to find the value of b over 2 squared, b divided by 2 all squared. So b divided by 2 is minus 12 divided by 2, which is minus 6. And then I need to square that number. So minus 6 squared is minus 6 times minus 6, which is a positive 36, okay? Even when this value is negative, even when this b value is negative, it will always turn out that the value that we're adding to both sides is positive. And I want you to think about why. The reason for that is because we're squaring it. And anything squared, even if it's negative, will turn out to be positive. Remember I told you about the magic number. This is the magic number, or this, wherever. Magic number. We'll use that in just a moment, okay? And the moment has come. We need to factorize. Step 2 is to factorize that trinomial. Factorize. So I need to factorize here. I'm going to break it down into brackets. Remember, it all ends up being squared. And I'm looking for two values that multiply to give me a positive 36, but add up to a negative 12. Okay, remember this is our magic number because that's the number I'm looking for, minus 6. All right, so I put x minus 6 in brackets. And then let's see what I have on the right side. I have minus 35 plus 36, which gives me a positive 1. All right, now I have step number 3, which is to solve using square roots. All right, so let's take it away. So we have the square root here, and I need to take the square root here as well. All right, on the left side, this will always happen where the square root and the squared will cancel, and I'm left with just x minus 6. That comes from within the brackets. And then since I've taken the square root here, remember I need that plus or minus. And then the square root of 1 is just 1. This is where we split up into the plus side and to the minus side. So I'll recopy my equation down exactly as I see it, but instead of writing that plus or minus, I'll just keep the plus value. Over here, same idea, but just keep the minus value. And then we'll solve by adding 6 to both sides for each. So this becomes x equals 7. My solution over here is 5. So I have two different answers. One thing to keep in mind, this plus or minus, again, we've talked about this in the quadratic formula. Using that plus or minus doesn't mean I have two answers that look the same, but one plus and one minus. See how we have two completely different values, 7 and 5? So it's important that at this stage, as soon as you break down that plus or minus, it's important that you split your equation into two separate equations so that you ensure that you come up with the correct answers, all right? It's little details like those that will separate you from the rest, okay? Keep practicing, girls. Keep working on that Corbett's math sheet. You might want to practice some more of those, and then I'll also be posting some of the more challenging questions as well. All right, good luck.